Hello. Yay, it's working. So good. Okay. I finally figured out the connection between Zoom and Facebook Live. Finally got it figured out. So good. Okay. So I'm so glad that we are here today, Wednesday at 4, straight up 4 o'clock on the dot. So, what I want to do today is recap what we've been doing since May 1st and kind of go over that and then go over more in a little more in depth on what is going on in our brains and our bodies when we're trying to lose weight or when we're trying to keep it off, right? So, I was thinking about what it feels like to be overweight, right? Like not feeling good in my body, like not good in my own skin, literally wanting to crawl out of my own skin. And I would just like grab like handfuls of my body and just want to rip them off and just wish that like I wished I could be put in a coma and like wake up skinny. Like it's so crazy, right? I mean, have any of you felt like that? I just felt so helpless, right? And I knew that I was overeating, but I didn't know how to stop. And I didn't really understand why it was so hard, right? Feel free to type in any questions here in the group that any questions about this or anything. I don't care. If you're catching this live or hashtag replay if you're watching on the replay, and I'll be happy to go back and answer later. Or feel free to send me a private message if you have any additional questions, right? And anyway, like thinking about all the time I spent obsessing about my weight, obsessing about how I looked, obsessing about food and how I couldn't eat like other people. Like you watch the naturally thin people and they just eat and they leave food on their plates or they, leave a half a glass of wine or what. I'm like, what is going on? How do people do this? Right? I didn't understand it. I get it now, right? And even when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, my weight was still one of my biggest concerns. So crazy, right? What would it be worth to you if you never had to think about your weight again? Ah, you guys, there's so much freedom and so much confidence, and you can just go out and conquer the world when you create that feeling of freedom and confidence. So, I'll also share how at the end I can talk about how we could work one-on-one if that is something that interests you um, for this. So today, let's just recap. Actually, I was just thinking we have some new people in the group. So I also wanted to share with you a little bit of like who I am in case you don't know me. I'm Melanie McNamara. I am a certified life and weight loss coach, and I help successful Gen X women lose weight for the last time, right? And as I mentioned, I'm also a stage 3 breast cancer survivor. So health and feeling really good in my body is so important to me. But the most important thing to me, what I'm really obsessed with, is to make the very most of my one and only precious life. And I want that for you too, right? I was so tired of being focused on my weight, right? So that's why I'm here and what got me into this. So the last few days, step one, I told you first to get a journal and keep all of this, follow along, keep just um, be intentional about this work, right? So get yourself a journal. So the step one was, what is the story you're currently telling about yourself? What is your current identity with your weight, with your body, right? With food. What are you telling yourself? I've always been overweight. I've never been able to lose weight. I've never been able to keep weight off. Um, I I overeat. I'm an emotional eater. Like all the things. And what I want to share with you is probably 99% of what you wrote down on day one about your identity with food is what I call a thought error. It's simply a thought. We spend our lives telling a story about ourselves, a story about our lives, and we just share it like we're telling the news, or we just believe it as if it were truth. Okay. So part of my work and something I really work on and in my with my clients is separating what is a thought and what is a fact, right? What is a belief you have and what is just a fact? What's the circumstance, right? What's the circumstance and what's your story about it? And I mean that with all the love in the world. We all have stories about our past and who we are and what we make things mean. And it doesn't mean we need to drop them all, but it means question everything. It's the secret. It's step one, awareness. What am I thinking that I don't really need to be thinking anymore? What is this thought error that I have? Okay. So step two, day two, I said, where do you want to be? Where is your future self? Okay. So part of that is like envisioning yourself, whether it's at the end of this month, if you're diving into this work, maybe it's a 3-year plan, you get to decide what is your future self? Who is she or he? What is their identity with weight, right? What is the story they tell themselves daily when it's time to eat or make a meal plan or whatever, right? And also, day two, we talked about creating a very compelling why. So you need to have a really good reason for what you're doing, because if you don't, your brain, your primal brain, which we'll talk about a little bit in a little bit here, your primal brain is going to offer you all the reasons why you should just eat that cupcake, right? Like you totally deserve that. It's been a stressful day. Grab a few extra fruit bars for lunch today or snacks or whatever, right? Um, our primal brain is very good at offering, arguing with our prefrontal cortex, our thinking part of our brain. Very good at that. So step three, what is your mind body connection? How connected are you to your natural hunger scale? Right? So throughout the years, we have been so far disconnected from our natural hunger scale. We don't even know when we're hungry. If someone says, "Are you hungry?" and you look at the clock to see if it's lunchtime, you're totally disconnected. Okay, we're going to talk about that. And I gave you the 2 magic questions to ask yourself every time you go to take a bite of something, you go to grab something to eat. Ask yourself, am I hungry? Am I even hungry? Right? And if the answer is no, if you can truly feel it in your body and realize, no, I'm not hungry, then ask yourself, what am I truly hungry for? What am I craving? And that's going to be an emotion. Usually it's going to be you want to fill some kind of void you're feeling, cover, buffer over some kind of emotion that you're feeling. That's the majority of my work is figuring that out. Like, what am I trying to avoid with this food that feels like comfort to me, that my primal brain says is oh so imperative that I eat this food right now, right? And then step 4 yesterday, we talked about setting up a food protocol and why that's so important. And the reason is because you want to use that planning and thinking part of your brain to create your future self. And so when you sit down tonight, to write out your protocol for tomorrow, you want to keep your future self, who's going to be following this protocol tomorrow, you want to keep her in mind. You want to be oh so kind to her. You want to be compassionate to her. And I want you to meet yourself where you're at when you set these food protocols. So protocol is simply how you want to eat for the rest of your life. Okay. We're not talking a restriction diet. Okay. We are starting out. If you are someone who goes to McDonald's 3 times a day, you don't want to suddenly say you get broccoli and carrots all day long, right? Your brain, which is what happens when we go on a diet, your brain is going to say, oh, hell no. It's going to argue with you. It's going to feel terrible. Like you may lose weight doing it that way. And maybe you've done it that way before. You may lose weight, but guess what? As soon as you stop, your weight's going to go right back up. It's going to go right back up. What this protocol is going to do for you is set you up for success. Start developing this relationship with yourself, right? That's based on trust. You have to trust your past self, who yesterday is going to made that protocol for you, right? Trust your future self to follow the protocol, and really, like, you guys, you've got to develop this self-efficacy, this love, this trust in yourself that you will follow your plan, right? So you have to set the plan with the intention of so much love. So if you go to McDonald's 3 times a day, maybe you set the protocol tomorrow that, okay, you're going to go to McDonald's 3 times, but you're only going to get 1 cheeseburger, right? Instead of 3. Or maybe you eat very well on your protocol, but you tend to grab snacks throughout the day. Just, just a little handful of chocolate chips here, a few potato chips there, little bits here and there. You want to cut those out. Okay. So what happens then is tomorrow, if you're not following your protocol, when your brain tells you, you didn't put a chocolate chip snack for me on the protocol today. Well, I'm just going to take half the bag then. Like, your brain wants to be a rebel. Your brain totally wants to be a rebel. And it's like, you can't tell me what to do. So it's so important to meet yourself where you're at and then just incrementally start leveling that up. Okay. And it's an experiment. It's all an experiment to see what, like, one person can eat one thing and the other person can eat another. And maybe you're the same weight and the same size, but your bodies react differently. Okay. So it's all an experiment. So all of this being said, you need to keep the long game in mind, right? Because if you're in it to drop 30 pounds in a month, it's never going to happen. You're going to feel restricted. You're going to give up on yourself. You're not going to trust yourself to follow through on your plan, right? So the thought errors that you came up with in step 1, those are things that we're going to put into models too. And a model is the coaching tool that I use with my clients. I do have a video about the model here in the Facebook group, and you're welcome to go back and watch that so you can review what is the model. And it's basically, first you have to separate out what's the circumstance, what's the thought. Okay. So going over those models every day when you are following your protocol and these emotions come up and these thoughts come up. Like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. Why am I allowed to eat McDonald's if I'm trying to lose weight? Because in the beginning, we are creating this trust with yourself that you will follow through. We are creating a situation by cutting out that second cheeseburger or cutting out the snacks in between your meals. We are creating a situation where those emotions are going to come up. Those thoughts are going to come up like, well, you deserve this. And then when you can go back to your very compelling why are you wanting to lose weight? You can say, no, you know what I really deserve? I deserve to feel freedom in my body. I deserve to be confident. Okay. I deserve to have control over whatever the hell I put in my mouth, right? It's possible. Like, food cannot compel us to eat it. What? Like, I hear those Oreos. They're over there in the pantry. They're calling to me. What are you talking about, Melanie? No, that's our primal brain. That's our drive to eat. Okay. So, let's see. So today we've gone over like the first few days. Okay. And why we're doing that. What I want to talk to you about is that motivational triad. I just kind of mentioned it with our brain. Our brain is driven for 3 things. Our primal brain wants 3 things and 3 things only, and it will do everything in its power to protect us from these 3 things. It wants to avoid pain. Okay. avoid the pain of deprivation and restriction of when we do go on a diet. So our brain will be arguing with us every single step of the way. It makes for a terrible experience. So what actually creates pain for you is what your brain is trying to protect you from feeling deprived, right? It wants to seek pleasure. So your brain is always going to seek pleasure. So if you're feeling a little bit of stress, your brain has recorded in it that grabbing those Oreos helps ease that stress in the moment, right? So that's seeking pleasure. Seeking pleasure may be laying on the couch watching Netflix rather than, say, taking a nice walk, right? So it likes that. And then expend minimal energy. So the third piece of our motivational triad is to expend minimal energy. So what that means is our brain has been programmed to seek certain foods, right? Like, oh yeah, when I'm stressed, I eat that food. Minimal energy. It habits, right? You don't think about brushing your teeth every day. You just do it, right? You don't have to think about the steps to take to brush your teeth. You've just programmed your brain. Sometimes you're driving home and you don't even remember the drive home, right? That's your brain just on instinct, just heading home, right? So that is why we are so driven to eat and overeat. Okay. I'm going to be putting together like a whole hour-long webinar, and we're going to really, really dive into that drive to eat and the dopamine we get. Like every time you eat an Oreo, your brain gets a little hit of dopamine. But you know what? What happens is, or every time you eat, your brain gets a little hit of dopamine. Every time you like have an apple, it's like, oh, it tastes great. Feels good. Do that again. But what we've done as humans is we've created these foods that are so highly concentrated with sugar and flour that it's like this explosion in our brain. And our brain is like, oh, yes, that. You must go eat that. Right. So that's where that drive comes, that over desire comes from this concentrated food that we've been given. So let's see. Let me pull up some notes. Okay. So we've talked about some things to ask yourself, like how tuned into your body are you as far as your natural hunger scale, right? And is that an area that you should be more aware of, right? And again, those two magic questions, am I hungry? And if not, what am I truly hungry for? So see, overeating and overweight, you guys, they're simply symptoms. Okay. They are symptoms of an underlying problem of either over hunger or over desire. Okay. So over hunger is there's a hormonal over hunger reason that we are over hungry. Okay. So I'm going to dive into that a little bit here. So there's three main hormones involved with how we eat, right? So our digestive system. So there's insulin. Insulin is the number one hormone that you really should be aware of and really understand what its purpose is. When you hold on one sec. It's just double checking something here. I just like to make sure it's still working. Oh, look at that. Oh, hi, Christy. Okay. So I just wanted to double check, make sure it was streaming and everything was working. Technology, it's so good, but I like to double check that there was no user error on my end. Okay. So the three main hormones, insulin. Okay. Insulin, our insulin rises every single time we eat something. Okay. And then too much insulin in our bloodstream is the primary cause of the obesity epidemic that we really have, right? Um, let me see here. Okay. All right. So, so what we've done is there are two ways to reduce insulin, right? Eating less sugar and less flour, right? And then eating less often and in reduced quantities. Because every single time we put anything in our body, it doesn't even matter if it's just like one chip. Anytime that you eat something, your insulin level rises. And insulin is a fat storage hormone. Okay. So when it's in our blood, we cannot burn fat. We are in fat storage mode every time the insulin is raised in our body, right? And I mean, it's super important, right? Insulin, we don't want to knock insulin. Insulin's really important. But what we've done is we've created this environment where our insulin is constantly high, right? And so then what happens is we can't get in to burn the fuel, burn our fat as fuel because we're always in fat storage mode. Okay. Um, and if you eat too, so if you eat too frequently, like most of us, like if you grew up in the 80s, like I did, or even followed a lot of the diets that people say now, well-meaning people say eat multiple times a day, you're keeping your insulin levels high throughout the day, right? And so you're not giving your body time to let the insulin drop so that your body can go in and access those fat storage cells and burn those for fuel. Okay. That's what we need to do when we're losing weight, right? So the next hormone is leptin, and leptin is responsible for letting us know when we're full. Okay. So, so we can develop an insulin resistance, but we can also develop a resistance to leptin. And that's a problem because then we don't know when we've eaten enough, right? That's when we're overeating. And ghrelin is the third one. Ghrelin is the one that's also important as well because ghrelin signals us that we are hungry, right? And it's that one again is negatively affected by the insulin. So if you drink, let's just say you drink a 300 calorie soda, right? Your ghrelin is not going to recognize a calorie intake on that. And it's just going to keep messaging you that you're hungry, right? So when we can get our hormones regulated to where our insulin levels are adequate, right? Our ghrelin is in line with when we are truly physically hungry, and then our leptin tells us when we're full, then you are automatically going to be able to go in and access those fat storage cells to burn as fuel. And the other thing is leptin blocks that as well. It blocks the insulin as well. So you're just constantly in fat storage mode. Okay, so when we need to treat the cause, not just the symptoms, right? You can just stop overeating and let go of the overweight. You have to balance out those hormones, right? So that's really important. And one of the ways to do that is to intermittent fasting. Okay. That is one of my favorite ways to do that. When you are intermittent fasting, which means, it sounds scary, don't worry. It just means you're increasing the time between your meals. And generally, that's just maybe moving breakfast back or skipping breakfast altogether and not snacking after dinner. Okay. So you kind of create yourself an eating window, and maybe you take out breakfast. We've been conditioned with this whole breakfast is the most important meal of the day, right? So we think we have to have a hearty breakfast to get us through the day. Not necessarily true, you guys. Um, I I have never felt better than cutting out most sugar and most flour. I haven't cut all of it out. I've just learned that when I do eat sugar and flour, my insulin level goes through the roof and I get that hangry feeling, right? That over desire to eat. Um, but when I'm fat adapted, which is when you train your body to use those fat storage cells as fuel, it's called fat adapted. When you train your body that way, being hungry is not a problem. Like you can go for hours and hours and you feel just little waves of hunger. It's like a whisper of hunger, and it's not a problem at all. Unlike if you're used to a diet that has a lot of sugar and flour in it, you get that over desire, that hangry feeling, that burning feeling like I have to eat, like it's an emergency. Okay. Um, so uh let's see. Turn off my notifications. So okay, so that's over hunger, right? We've got our hormones all out of whack with this concentrated foods that give us these giant bursts of pleasure in our brain, right? It's not our fault. And if you grew up like me and you were taught like fat is bad, right? So we do all these fake foods that that just are filled with these concentrated um pleasure, right? They provide these dopamine hits of over pleasure, right? So getting that in line is really important. Okay, give me one second here. Okay, so if you can yeah, so if you can answer for the over hunger, that's really important. We think we want to use willpower for that. That's not the answer. Okay. We will talk about allowing urges here in a minute. Oh, I was gonna say like I will put like pizza on my plan. So I'll have like Friday night. I like to eat a couple pieces of pizza, right? Like pizza's my favorite. I'm not going to cut it all the way out. I don't want to. So I put a couple pieces on my plan on Friday nights, and Saturday mornings, I just know I am going to wake up ravenous, right? So I'm just going to have to deal with that. Okay? I have to learn to allow those urges in my body and not react to them. Usually there'll be leftover pizza in the fridge. And I used to just be like, open the fridge and grab it and just eat it before I even knew it. Right. Now I know how to handle those urges. Um, so, um, so the next thing, so that's over hunger, and then over desire. We talked a little bit about that, right? How we've concentrated these foods that give us this over desire for them, right? Um, So the over desire comes up when our emotions become involved, right? We might be like, well, I just love food, right? So again, back to the motivational triad, we were very much conditioned to have a drive for food. We are driven to eat, right? Think about this. It's so much easier not to overeat, right? So much easier not to overeat. We don't spend as much money. We don't have to prepare as much food. We don't um, just the fact of getting up out of our chair and going to eat food, right? Um, but here's the thing, when you take away that over desire, right? It doesn't matter how much you love the food, you're just going to eat it until you're satisfied, right? We've also been conditioned that food equals comfort, right? Most of us can't wait for food. We can't wait for the cookies or the donuts or the pizza or the chips or whatever, right? Why do you think we love food so much? Right? We use it to connect with friends, right? Let's meet for drinks and dinner, right? It feels good in the moment. I know when I was feeling sad or lonely, grabbing that half gallon of ice cream, Moose Trex ice cream out of the freezer, sitting in my bed, eating ice cream, watching Netflix, Supernatural usually, made me feel better in the moment. Okay. But here's the thing, food is not our friend. Food doesn't give a shit about us, right? It's making us overeat, making us overweight, right? So Imagine that I could take away your over desire for food. And you'd still want it to fuel your body, right? But I could take away your desire to never want to overeat again, to even never want dessert again. It startled me, right? Would you let me take that away from you? Think about it, right? Some of you might be like, no, I love food. I can't imagine my life without food, without the fun foods and the party foods, right? So interesting. Like the value we place on food. So like if you were to go to a party and they had all your favorite foods spread out on a table and you were just there and you were enjoying the party, you weren't even thinking about the pizza or the cookies or cake or whatever it is that that you love, right? Whatever it is that you tend to overeat, and you could just enjoy the party instead. It's amazing. It's an amazing way to live, to feel that freedom around food. Okay. For some of you, it's like maybe it's the alcohol. Okay. So you can just substitute alcohol for any of this, like a glass of wine, like coming home, pouring a glass of wine, right? Coming home, grabbing a bag of Oreos, right? So if you think about that, so think about you're about to just dive into the pantry and eat the Oreos or pour the drink or whatever. And your most famous, amazing celebrity crush walked in the room, right? What would you do? She'd be like, oh no, I'll talk to you in a minute. I'm busy. These Oreos are super important to me right now. No, no, because you know what? Your desire to meet this person is so much stronger than your desire for food. Your life in that moment is so much better than the food. So that's one of the things I work with my clients on. Let's make your life so much more amazing where you're not always looking to food for comfort, right? We're not looking for, if the part of the wedding that you're looking forward to the most is the food, the part of the party that you're looking forward to the most is the food, right? Or the hangout with your friends. And if you're thinking the food is the most important part, you need to make your life way more exciting, right? Yeah. And we don't make your life more exciting or better by changing your life. We make it better by changing your mind. So every time you're faced with food or doing something amazing in your life, right? You're going to choose your life so much better than food, right? So what I can do is I can help you not be depressed, not be overwhelmed, right? Not be as excited about food as you were before, right? Because your desire, it's causing that chemical reaction in your brain, that over desire, right? Um, so if you followed step 4 yesterday and you set a protocol for today, I'm curious if you followed it and what came up for you, right? What came up for you while you were following your protocol? What were the main thoughts you had when you wanted to eat off your protocol? I'd love to hear that. Um, so step 5, okay, I just went over everything again, went a little bit more in depth on some of the things as far as the hormones. Step 5, I want to introduce allowing urges to you, allowing emotion. Okay. So there are generally 3 main ways that we've been taught to handle our emotions. And I'm going to use emotions, feelings, and urges, cravings, all interchangeable in this. Okay. So the way that we've been taught or brought up or conditioned to do with a feeling is we either react to it, which in the case of an urge, we react by eating the thing, right? Overeating the thing. Or maybe we have a feeling like anger and our reaction is to lash out, say words, do something like that. So either react, resist, which in the case of urges would be willpower. Okay. Think of white knuckling your way through an urge. Like, oh, I want the Oreos, but I can't eat them. I can't eat them. I'm not allowed. I'm trying to do this diet. I want to lose weight. I've got to, just white knuckling, like got to resist, resist, resist. Okay. It's like picture holding a beach ball underwater and you're just holding it there and holding it there and holding it there. And eventually that willpower, that resisting is you're going to lose it. And that ball is going to come crashing out of the water. Right. And that's what happens. We end up reacting to our urge then, if we're trying to use willpower to resist it. Okay. Or avoiding. So that's the third way. We often avoid things. We're like, oh, well, I want to eat this thing, but I'm going to avoid it by going and doing something else. Now, that's not always a bad thing. Okay. I just want you to be aware that avoiding and what I'm going to share with you with allowing does look differently. So the way I want you to respond to these urges you get and feelings, again, we work on feelings a lot, is allowing the feeling in your body. So willpower and resistance is like a closed off kind of white knuckling, scrunched up feeling. Allowing an urge is like an opening. It's like just an opening to it. Okay. It's a whole different feeling, you guys. It's like, oh, deep breathing it in. When you can breathe in and open up to an urge or a feeling like anger or sadness or whatever it is, when you can open up to it, feel it in your body, notice it's there, process it through, right? I work on processing emotions with my clients. It just dissipates so much more quickly. It's like, oh, I felt that urge and I didn't resist. I didn't willpower it away. I didn't react. I didn't avoid it. I felt it. I allowed it in my body. I processed it through. And the more you can do that, the more you can learn to do that with these urges, with the feelings you get coming home from work, feeling stress. If you can just feel stress in your body and it's not a problem, you won't feel the desire to go eat, right? If you can feel an urge in your body and understand that's not a problem and just process it through and decondition yourself to react to those urges, it's not a problem. You're not going to go to the food again. So that is a skill that you need to master. And it's a skill that will translate. It's a meta skill for every other area of your life. When you can truly learn to allow your emotions, recognize emotions are not a problem. Our bodies, I think I said this in step 3, our bodies were designed to feel emotions. But our conditioning through our whole life was, you have to avoid these emotions at all costs. You have to strive for happiness at any cost. If you're feeling a negative emotion, there's something wrong, right? It's not the truth. When you're willing to feel any emotion, there's nothing you're unwilling to do. If you're willing to sit here and feel an urge and not react to it, not resist it with willpower, not avoid it by distracting yourself, but just feel it in your body, it deconditions. You've heard of Pavlov's dog, right? How the dogs were conditioned that every time that bell rang, their mouth would water or they would drool or whatever, and then they would get the treats. You've Pavloved yourself with these urges. That's all. You've just trained your brain that, oh, when I see Oreos or think of Oreos, I eat them and it feels awesome. So I will continue to eat them. And wait a minute, you're not eating the Oreo. Well, you better eat it. So your brain's going to start arguing with you. You've got to eat that. You've got to eat that because this feels terrible. You need to eat the Oreo, right? Or like we've trained our brain that if we feel stressed, we've got to do something about it. Okay. We can certainly work on why you're feeling stressed because stress is unnecessary itself. Like that's a whole different class. But if you're using food to get out of feeling stress, um, oh, that's so funny. Okay. They're doing subtitles. Okay. Captions. I'm learning new things about technology every day, y'all. So, but yeah, if you decondition your brain to think you have to solve for stress with food, or you have to solve for overwhelm or solve for sadness with food, you've just learned yourself into a whole new life for the rest of your life. You guys think about that. If you can rewire your brain and decondition yourself to react to every single urge you have and all the feelings, you have set yourself up for the most amazing life. I get tingles thinking about it, right? Like you can do anything. You're willing to feel anything. You're willing to do anything that you want to do, that your prefrontal cortex says is important, even though your primal brain is like, oh, hell no, it's not a good idea. That's going to cause some pain, right? So it's just mind blowing. Okay. So, what we've been taught as far as dieting is restriction and deprivation. And you've got to deprive yourself if you want to lose weight because there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you, my friend. And you don't have to lose weight because of some society's ideal of how your body should look. Can totally don't get me started on how we've been conditioned that as women, we are unacceptable unless we fit society's norm for how we should look, right? That we're here for other people's pleasure, that we're here to people please everyone and be everything for everyone. And at the expense of ourselves. No, no. Question all of those thoughts that come up whenever you're introduced to something with that. So keep working that food protocol. We'll dig into that a little bit more in the next few days, but I want you to notice and I want you to journal. So what was on your protocol and did you eat that and only that? And what were your feelings? What were your thoughts and feelings that came up when you ate? And what were your thoughts and feelings when you didn't eat? Right? And just write them down. Okay? Question them. Say, wait, is this a fact or is it a thought? Did I allow an urge or did I react to an urge or resist an urge? Right? Okay, so setting up the protocol, and then we're just gonna it's an experiment. This is the long game, you guys. You're not here. Like what we'll talk about tomorrow, I think, is how you're gonna need to feel in order to become that future self. How you think you're gonna feel when you reach your ideal weight or you become that version of yourself, your future self, how you think you're going to be thinking and feeling is how you need to think and feel now. Okay. Future self, when she's lost the weight or maintained the weight or whatever it is that's specific to you, future self is not feeling deprived or restricted, is she? Right? She's feeling confident and she's feeling freedom. So you need to feel confidence and freedom today to become that future version of yourself. Okay. So what is she thinking in the future that is creating feelings of confidence and freedom? All right. You need to decide what you can think today to feel confidence around food, to feel confidence around your protocol, to feel confident that your past self has your back and that you have your future self's back. Right. Okay. So step 4 was set the protocol. Step 5, today, I want you to write down everything you ate then. I mean, just you should have already written down what you were going to eat today. And then after that, note, did I eat that and only that? And if I did, what was I feeling? What was I thinking at the time? Did I eat until I was just satisfied or just full? Get back in tune with your body's natural rhythms, right? Did I like my choices? Do I want to maybe do a 1% level up tomorrow? Um, what kinds of thoughts did I have? Did I argue with myself in my brain if I chose not to eat something that wasn't on my plan, or chose to eat something that wasn't on my plan, right? Without judgment. I'm more concerned about what you tell yourself when you do go off your protocol than anything. Like, that's what we got to clean up to. Okay? This is you putting on your detective hat. What are the best foods for me? And if you've lost weight before in the past without doing the mental work, and most likely you've gained it back, adding in the mental work is the magic key. Okay? There's That's what it is. There's three secrets. Okay? So, and the mental work is a big part of it. All right, you guys, listen, I love you so much. I hope that this month of May is going to be so helpful for you. Um, and I want to say, like, I do work one-on-one with clients. Okay. And we work on everything. We work on all those thoughts that come up, all those feelings that come up when you're starting something, you're stepping into a new identity, right? A new identity around food and around eating and who you want to be. And you have to believe that it's possible. Okay. So are you believing that it's possible? Right. We need to build that. And these skills that you can master as you're losing weight, as you're maintaining weight, these skills translate into building a business, if that's what you're doing, if you're choosing, right? Like, building this amazing life you want to have. It's translates into the relationships you want to have with other people. We're starting with the relationship with ourself. Okay. So if you are interested in one-on-one, I would love to talk to you. I would love to hop on a call, and I do what I call a discovery call, where it's all about you. I ask you all the questions like, where are you right now? Where do you want to be? And what's in your way from getting there, right? What is it? And I can show you how none of that's a problem. Like, we can figure that out. Like, I will take you through the whole program. When coaching, when I first found I didn't know what life coaching was. I'm going to say this. I kind of knew I didn't need therapy, yet I kind of wondered because I was miserable and I didn't know. I didn't know. I read all the self-help books. I listened to podcasts. I tried to figure things out on my own, but I was so miserable. And I didn't know how to fix things. And I didn't know, like, my weight was a part of it. But on top of that, it were these feelings that I had and these thoughts that I had. I was dissatisfied with my career and my life. Okay. And then I found a life coach. And I was like, a what? What's a life coach? Right? The best thing I ever did. Best thing I ever did. If I die tomorrow, I will never regret the last 3 to 4 years working with a life coach and learning to feel so much peace and so much excitement and so much possibility. Like, I see my future self, and she's me. Like, I realized I had to feel the way she's feeling in order to become her. And it's amazing, right? It's amazing. So, um, I'd love to talk with you about that. So just send me a message here. But I hope that you are, if you're following along with this month, I hope you are finding a lot of value in the teachings and taking like a little nugget each day. There should be like some kind of little nugget, a golden nugget that you can implement into your life, or a few nuggets. So, all right, you guys, have a fantastic Wednesday. I decided to go a little bit long today because we're really diving into this material. And I was just looking to see. So, okay. All right, you guys. Love you so much. Bye bye.